If your agency is doing somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 a month, and you feel you've been stuck at that number for a while, I need you to hear this. The reason you're not growing has nothing to do with sales. I know that sounds wrong, because every time revenue stalls, the instinct is the same. We need more clients, we need a better sales team, we need more pipeline. And so you hire another closer, or you crank up outbound, or you dump more money into ads. And maybe it works for a month or two. Revenue bumps up, but then it settles right back down to where it was. That's not a sales problem, that's an operations problem, wearing a sales mask. We work with agencies at this exact stage. We've seen it over and over. The agencies that break through 300,000 and keep climbing aren't the ones who figured out a better cold email. They're the ones who fixed what was happening after the sale. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 operational bottlenecks that keep agencies stuck at 300,000 MRR, why hiring more people actually makes it worse, and what to fix first if you want to scale without your business falling apart. Here's the first thing that nobody talks about. When you're at 200 to 300,000 a month, your team is probably somewhere between 15 to 40 people. You've got account managers, project managers, and maybe some department leads, a sales team, and a handful of fulfillment specialists. Things are moving, clients are getting serviced, work is getting done, but just barely. At this stage, most agencies are running at 85 to 95% capacity at all times. Each person on the team is stretched. Your account managers are juggling 12 to 15 clients each. Your project managers are just spending half their day just chasing status updates. And your onboarding process, the thing that sets the tone for the entire client relationship, is held together by a Google Doc and someone's memory. So what happens when sales closes 2 clients next week? Chaos. The onboarding gets rushed, the account manager who picks up the new client is already overloaded, so the first 2 weeks of that client's experience are mediocre at best. And within 60 to 90 days, the client's asking questions like, what exactly are we paying for? This is the capacity ceiling. You can sell all you want, but if your operations can't absorb new clients without degrading quality, every new deal you close is just accelerating churn. You're filling a bucket that has holes in the bottom, and here's where it gets counterintuitive. Most agency owners look at this and say, we need to hire more people. So they hire another account manager, another project coordinator, maybe another fulfillment person. But hiring doesn't fix broken systems, it multiplies them. If your onboarding process requires 6 manual steps and 3 different people remembering to do things in the right order, adding a 4th person doesn't make it better, it makes it inconsistent. Now you have 4 different versions on how onboarding works instead of 3. The fix isn't more people, the fix is removing the manual work that is eating the team's capacity in the first place. One agency we worked with, a 25-person email marketing team doing mid-6 figures a month, was spending hours every week on manual onboarding emails, manually routing leads to account managers, and manually summarizing sales calls so the fulfillment team knew what was going on. None of that needed a human. All of that was eating capacity that could have gone to actual client work. Once we automated lead routing, onboarding sequences, and call-to-team handoffs, their account managers went from 95% capacity to having actual room to deliver great work. Client satisfaction went up, churn went down, and the owner finally had breathing room to take on new clients without the whole machine grinding. Now, the capacity ceiling is the most obvious bottleneck, but even if you fix it, there's a second problem that's actually harder to see, and it's the one that keeps most agencies permanently stuck. Here's a question. Right now, without pulling up a spreadsheet or asking someone on your team, can you tell me how many discovery calls did your team make in the last month? What was your qualified rate? What was your average sales cycle length? Which deals are most profitable? What's your client retention rate by service tier? If you can't answer those questions in under 30 seconds, you have a visibility gap, and that gap is costing you a lot more than you think. At 200 to 300,000 MRR, agencies have enough data flowing through their business to make genuinely strategic decisions, but almost none of them are actually capturing and organizing that data. Instead, they're running on gut feeling. I feel like sales had a good month. I think churn is getting better. I'm pretty sure that service line is profitable. Gut feeling works when you're doing 30K a month and every client is in your head. It stops working the moment your business is too big for one person to hold all of the context. At 200K plus, you passed that point a long time ago. The visibility gap creates a specific kind of damage. Without clear data, you can't tell the difference between a revenue problem and a retention problem. Those require completely different solutions. Without clear data, you don't know which service line is actually making you money and which one is subsidized by everything else. Without clear data, you can't see that your sales team is booking 40 calls a month, but only 8 of them are actually qualified, which means your marketing targeting is off, not your closing. One client we worked with had been trying to build a sales dashboard for over a year. They tried spreadsheets, they tried having someone manually update reports, nothing stuck because it all required someone to remember to do it. So for a year, the founder was making hiring decisions, pricing decisions, and resource allocation decisions based on how things felt. We built them an automated sales dashboard in about 3 weeks. It pulls data automatically from their CRM, CRM. No manual entry, no one needs to remember to update anything. It tracks discovery calls, qualified rate, offer rate, close rate, deal size distribution, average sales cycle, the works. The founder told us that we solved a problem in 3 weeks that he couldn't crack for over a year. But the real impact wasn't the dashboard itself. It was that for the first time, he could see exactly where his pipeline was leaking. Turns out his close rate was fine. His problem was that most of his calls getting booked weren't qualified in the first place. Without the data, he would have had to keep trying to fix closing when the real issue was targeting. This is what the visibility gap does. It makes you solve the wrong problems. And at 200,000 to 300,000 MRR, solving the wrong problems doesn't just waste time, it wastes the salaries of everyone you hired to fix something that wasn't actually broken. The fix requires intentional system design. Your CRM, your project management tool, your fulfillment pipeline, these all need to be connected so data flows automatically. When a lead comes in, it should be tagged, routed, and tracked without anyone touching it. When a deal closes, the onboarding should trigger automatically. When a client hits their 60-day mark, someone should get an alert to do a health check. This is the infrastructure layer that separates agencies that plateau from agencies that scale. Now, the capacity ceiling stops you from absorbing new clients, the visibility gap stops you from making smart decisions about your growth, but there's a third bottleneck. And honestly, this is the one that agency owners are least willing to admit. Here's the hard truth. If you're the person who has to approve every proposal, sit in on every kickoff call, review every major deliverable, and make every high-level decision, you're not running a 300,000 a month agency, you're running a 3,000 a month job. The founder bottleneck is the most dangerous operational problem because it feels like leadership. It feels responsible. It feels like you're being a good owner by staying close to the work. But what's actually happening is that every process in your business has a single point of failure, and it's you. Think about what happens when you take a week off, or when you get sick, or when you're on a sales call and you can't respond to Slack for 2 hours. Things stall. Decisions wait. Your team sits idle on problems they could solve themselves if the systems were in place to let them. This bottleneck shows up in a very specific way at the 200,000 to 300,000 level. You've hired good people, you've even hired managers, but nothing has actually been systematized. The processes exist in your head or in scattered docs that no one references, so your team defaults to asking you, because that's faster and more reliable than trying to figure out the right way to do something. The solution is not just delegate more. That's the advice you'll hear from every business coach, and it's about 20% of the answer. The other 80% is building systems that make delegation automatic. Here's what I mean. When a new client signs on, there should be an automated onboarding sequence that triggers without anyone needing to decide who handles this. The right account manager should be assigned based on capacity and expertise automatically. The kickoff call should be scheduled, the welcome email sent, the internal briefing distributed, all without you or anyone on your team manually orchestrating it. When a client submits a request, it should be captured, categorized, and routed to the right person with the right context without you being the relay point. When someone on your team needs to make a decision, the data and the decision framework should be accessible to them, not locked in your head. This is what operational maturity looks like. And it's the difference between an agency where the founder is working in the business every day and an agency where the founder is working on the business. We've seen this transformation happen in real time. One agency owner came to us because his CRM migration was broken. Leads were coming in as strings of numbers. Tags were missing. The sales team couldn't track anything. He hired multiple people to fix it and none of them could. And it was his biggest bottleneck. And it was taking personal attention every single week. Once we fixed the CRM, automated the lead flow, and took over the integration work for his client fulfillment, he got something back that no amount of hiring could give him: his time. His team could function without him being the router for every decision and every piece of information. That's when the business actually started growing. Not because he sold more, but because the machine could finally run. This is exactly what we do at Dobot AI. We build the operational infrastructure that lets agencies scale past these plateaus. We start with a free automation audit at this time of recording, where we map entire pipeline, sales, onboarding, fulfillment, everything. And we show you exactly where the bottlenecks are and what to automate first. If any of this resonated, the links are in the description. Worst case, you walk away with a clear picture of where your operations are leaking, and in the best case, we fix it. But before you do anything else, you need to understand exactly how to audit your own agency operations, because even knowing what to look for puts you ahead of 90% of agency owners at your stage. I break that down step by step in this video right here.